this end. There we go. Okay, so here we are live. I'm sorry about my other video for those of you that were waiting. I noticed I had a lineup. My apologies because I thought it would just come on automatically and I was wrong, and then I was struggling to try and figure out how to get this thing to work. But here we are. You know, one thing about musicians, things don't always go right, and we've got to make them go right. So that's what I have done here today. So I'm quite happy about the situation where I managed to reschedule this, and hopefully I get some viewers and we can learn about this amazing technique that I'm going to teach today. Now, my students should be familiar with this technique, as I've spent quite a bit of time on various techniques. My teaching style is based from technique, and it's got to do with who I studied with and guys that I learned from, and my own style that I've realized over years and years of playing, and a lot of playing, we're talking thousands of gigs. The easier you make the drumming, the easier it is on you, especially as you get older. Because what often happens with older drummers who have not advanced their technique is the tendonitis kicks in, the sore back kicks in, the sore neck, the sore fingers, the sore arm, etc., etc., etc. So if we can get started young, I try to get my students started young. If we can get them started young with good technique, that's huge, because you're going to take that through your whole life. So technique is everything, in my opinion. Now, from the technique, we learn how to play grooves, we learn how to play fills, we learn how to play phrases. We take the technique and we make the grooves and the fills and the phrases and everything that we do on this drum kit, we make it easy. One of the greatest compliments that I get whenever I play it is, man, you look so relaxed when you're playing and you make it look easy. That's the ultimate compliment, because that's my goal. My goal is to be relaxed. Now, one of my teachers that I studied with, I can remember him saying to me, practice as loose and relaxed as you possibly can, so that when you go to gig, you're going to tighten up. That's normal, because when you're just at home in your basement and you're practicing, there's no stress. There's no hot lights on you. There's no screaming crowd. There's no girls chanting your name. There's none of that. So as a result, you're pretty relaxed. Now, when the name chanting starts and the girls start screaming, that's when the blood pressure goes up. That's when the sweats start and the nerves kick in. So to avoid that filtering down to you tensing up and being tight, you practice very, very loose, so that when the chanting starts and your name is being called, and we love the drummer, that's my favorite chant. Once that starts, then you're going to be ready for it. You're going to be relaxed. You're going to be able to handle the stress that is upon you. Now, some people fold up in these performance situations. I've always been one to rise to the occasion. I can remember in rehearsal making lots of mistakes, and the guys in the band are like, oh boy, getting a little nervous with me. However, honestly, I don't know what it is. When it comes to the moment of the performance, the mistakes don't happen as frequently. We all still make mistakes live. It's part of live performing. But I've learned how to cover them up so that nobody knows. Maybe my bandmates would know a little bit, few mistakes happening. I can remember a girl that I used to play with, she used to call it drum drama. So we're going to try to avoid the drum drama. So I'm going to help you today to get this technique down to make things much, much easier. Now, I've got a few people here watching now, and I'm willing to answer questions as we're going through this discussion. I'd love to hear your comments. Hopefully a few of my students are tuning in here, and we can also, I got my computer here so we can also deal with some questions and anything like that. Now, I like to also welcome my new subscribers. I've got a whole pile of new subscribers recently, and I really want to thank you for tuning in. And this whole YouTube thing is still a learning curve for me, so please bear with me. All right, so let's dig into this. Let's do what I do naturally, okay? So, the first thing is, we're starting from this position here, and you want to hold the stick in this manner so that it's nice and loose. The stick is going to pop out of your hand. You're going to open your hand when you do the stroke, and it's going to sit like that. So on the drum, it's going to look like this. Then after that, you pull it down, and it looks like that. Once again, right back into that start grip position. Now, this finger, if you refer to my other videos or anyone that knows me in terms of teaching, you want to get this finger out of the way. You want to see this kind of a thing. Now, why do we get that finger out of the way? The reason is we want the finger to not impede. As soon as we put the finger in front of the stick like this, it impedes movement. Biggest mistake most drummers make, quite frankly, is they think that this is a control point, and they attempt to control the movement of the stick from here. It's wrong. The control point happens in the last three fingers, particularly the first two. The pinky, not as much control, but if you stick your pinky out like this, what happens? Look at that. We got tension. And as my favorite drum teacher of all time would say, tension is the enemy of movement. So we've got to avoid tension. How do we avoid tension? Don't stick that pinky out. That's number one. The other thing is, sticks really loose in your hand, and you'll notice that I have a space here. So when I'm doing this stroke, that space remains there. Very, very important, okay? Okay, now let's talk about the dynamics of the stroke. So from here, you throw the stick down, pops up, pull it down. Push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, whoops, push, pull. Now, you want to be able to make sure the stick bounces. Push, pull, push. Now, as you go faster, the movement will just start to happen if you're doing this correctly. So you're getting the push and the pull. Push, pull, push. Now, here's another thing. Very, very important. You want to make sure that both hands are doing this. It's useless if you get one really great hand, usually the right. Oh man, awesome. I'm nailing down that technique. And then the left hand, not so much. Balance your hands out. Now, I'm a lefty, so for me, developing as a drummer, I had to develop the right hand more so. The left hand came pretty easy. But balancing them out to make them both nice and smooth and make the movements on the drums effective took a lot of time. Now listen, people, there's no easy road. There's no pill. You got to put the work in. Years and years of practice. Now, people always ask me, how do I get fast? How do you get fast? You get fast with ease of movement. You get fast by letting the sticks bounce. You get fast by not gripping the sticks like this. You get fast by loosening up your entire body. It's all connected. It's all connected. Okay? So what you're doing with your hands is connected to your arm, which is connected to your upper arm and shoulder, which is connected to the rest of your body. Now, one of the things that I talk about is the liquid effect, which is the entire body being extremely loose and relaxed whenever you play. Very difficult. Very important. It's something you have to consciously think about. You have to think about relaxing your body and being relaxed. So when those fans are screaming during your gig, yes, it's fun. It's cool. It's awesome when they scream. But you've got to stay relaxed, even when they're chanting your name. Okay, so back to this. All right, so pull, push, pull. Now, if I'm doing single strokes, I'm not really using it as much. I'm using more of a bounce stroke for singles. But I'm still catching the stick and moving the stick with my fingers. So the Buddy Rich technique, while not, as common in a single stroke, it can still be utilized in terms of the next stroke, the secondary stroke, being a pull. Now for double strokes, so push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, right? When we're doing the double strokes, it fits in there perfectly. Now, I'm going to tell you something that's going to surprise you. To go fast, you have to go slow. What the heck does that mean? This guy's talking in circles. What that means is there's only one way to get better. There's only one way to go fast, and that's by doing everything in the beginning slow. I also like to call this teenage boy syndrome. With my teenage students, they all want to play like they're in Slayer or Lamb of God, or they all want to be Nickel McBrain. Hey, we all want to be Nickel McBrain. I love Nickel. But guess what? We have to start off playing slow and understanding the technical things that are happening with the stick in your hand to develop the ability to play like Nickel McBrain or any of those guys that play incredibly fast, So when we're doing this, we want to play slow. Nice and slow, and make sure the strokes are even. Now, as we go a little bit faster, it's the exact same motion sped up. Now you'll notice that I'm letting the stick move. Nice and relaxed. That is key to this technique. You gotta let the sticks move. Now remember, keep that pinky in. That's a huge thing that I see a lot of young drummers. And by the way, when I say young drummers, I don't mean kids. I mean drummers that are still in the developmental stage, which is all of us, really. We all have to learn and continue to learn, and we don't stop learning till we're not here anymore. So all of us are in this learning stage, okay? So young drummers is just a little bit more inexperienced drummers. Maybe that's a better word. It's got nothing to do with age. You could be 80 years old and still learning these techniques, okay? So push, pull. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the drum kit and demonstrate this a little bit on the drum kit as well, very shortly. Now, let's do a group of three. So we're doing the Buddy Rich, the throw, or the push, rather, and then we're going to do two pulls. Look, I don't know if you can see or not or tell. Look how loose the stick is in my hand. But I'm still controlling it. The other thing is, a lot of drummers have this problem. I call it drummer's creep, where their hand slowly shifts up the stick. Well, how do we avoid that and play loose? Well, it's got to do with how much tension is in here, which has got to be zero. You've got to let the stick move, but the control, like I said, is in the back 3 fingers. So the stick is going to move, and so what? It is going to move. You've got to learn. It takes time to develop this technique. The stick is going to move. Sometimes it moves back. Sometimes, and you'll end up being here. So you got to crawl up the stick a little bit. Most commonly, though, it moves this way, and I see guys with, you're losing your center of balance when you're way up on the stick like that. I like to be right there. And that, to me, is the best balance point for the stick. So, grouping of 3. 1, 2, 3. Push, pull, pull, push, pull, pull. Nothing changes with, I'm going faster, nothing changes with what's happening though. This is still the movement. These are still the pulls. Everything is still relaxed. Nothing changes in what you're doing. A lot of guys, I can't even explain it. They shift this way. They lean into it. They get arms out. They do all these weird things, and they think that it's helping them. But I'm telling you right now, it is not. Nail down this technique and stay in the same position. Do not shift your body around to make things work better, or what you think is working better, because it's not. You're actually working harder. Work less, produce more. That's my motto. Let's go to 4. See the way the stick pops up? You gotta let the stick bounce to get that. Okay, and it all translates to much, much better technique when we do this, all right? Okay, so feel free at any time to ask any questions. I'm more than happy. That's what I'm here for, to answer questions and, you know, deal with people's drum problems, if you want to call it. So the technique, you know, it really does take time. Please don't give up. It takes time to learn how to get this thing moving and how to get this thing going. So that's basically on the pad. Now let's see if we can just move things a little bit. I'm just going to shift things around here a tiny bit. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to try and play this a little bit on the kit. I'm just going to adjust the camera one sec. All right, let's check this out on the kit. So I'm just going to play a little bit and demonstrate. Okay, so what's happening is I'm letting the stick bounce. I'm accenting it, but it's a Buddy Rich stroke or a push-pull stroke and then 3 pulls. And it's just repeated. Now, let's talk about eighth note. So, stick bounces up, I pull it down. So, hitting on the side, and then a tap. Okay, so the idea is, whatever we're doing, we're getting the stick to bounce, and then we're doing the push-pull. Push and the pull. And you'll notice my hands moving accordingly with the push-pull. Okay? So please, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm always available to answer. And let's just head over here again for 1 second. Okay. So that is the push-pull technique. And if you have any questions whatsoever about this technique, there are other, videos and stuff on this technique, of course. But I offer online lessons to those that don't live in my area and stuff. So if you want to learn this technique, I'm more than happy to teach some lessons on this online. So feel free to hit me up and we can set something up. Now, to my drum students, you guys should be practicing this. You should be practicing this often and regularly. Okay? All right. Thank you very much for tuning in. See ya. Keep drumming.